Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel! ArtFight is officially over, and I hope everyone had a great time. This is a video I had planned even before ArtFight started, but I thought it would be nice if I made a small recap of my journey this year in the fight. As I'm currently writing this, there are 3 days left for ArtFight. It's currently really tied up, and that's so shocking for me. If you watched my last video, I said I was sure most people would have went to Crystals, but I was very mistaken. So I'm excited to see the results. So, how did I do this year? Let's find out. This week started out with such a banger. I sadly couldn't put this up on day 1, but I whipped up something really quickly. Now, you might think that this is a pretty simple drawing, and that doesn't really deserve being called a banger, but I promise you, it is. Now you see, this was for my girlfriend, and this character has some funny lore. For the past few years, this character has gotten a good amount of love. So much so that my girlfriend was willing to hide him this year in order for other characters to get drawn. Now, this was mostly because she had 2 new characters which she had gotten obsessed with, and she just wanted art of them and them alone. So, as a funny prank, I wanted to draw him one more time. I even gave him a nice badge to help boost the joke a little bit. It definitely would have been funnier if this was day 1 for ArtFight, but oh well. Moving along. So, 2 days before ArtFight started, I was searching through random characters with my girlfriend, and I stumbled upon this guy. He had such a cool design. I just had to draw him. So I went to work right after I did that joke attack. In the description of that character, it stated that he was a fortune teller, so I decided to lean into that for this attack. They didn't say what type of fortune telling he did, so I picked tarot readings. But of course, this means I had to look up what an actual tarot reading looks like. The consensus online was that doing 3 cards is a good starting point, so that's what I did. I also went online and randomized all the tarot cards too to make it seem like it was a real drawing. I got Strength, the 9 of Swords, and the Magician. I also had the pleasure of learning what Major and Minor Arcanas meant, which means there were a lot more cards that I had no idea about. That wraps up my thoughts on this, and here's the finished piece. If I were to change anything, it would be trying to make the curtains look better. If I just varied the line length, I think I could have looked a lot better. But I still really like this piece. Also, if you're wondering where the speed drawing came from, that was from when I was live during this month. That's why the speed drawing stops in the middle of the piece, because I didn't do all of it on the stream. However, if you want to see the process, draw with someone, or just chill, you should join! I'm live on YouTube and Twitch once a week, either on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But that's enough self-promotion out of the way. Let's move on. So, week 1 was a bit of a slow week. However, week 2 started to turn things around. I got 2 attacks on the same day. One for Terminus, and one for a new OC I just uploaded this year, Pling. I was very happy I got some attacks thrown my way, so it was time to do some revenges. There's not much to say about these next 2 attacks from me, because they are part of something I like to do called the sticker series. Basically, if I want to get some attacks done, like in a few hours, I have a different style for them. And it basically boils down to making a sticker for the person. It makes it easy because I don't need to make anything crazy, like any crazy background, any crazy pose for the character, things like that. I can just do something simple. If you're curious on what they look like, here they are. Also, if you're wondering, I do provide a transparent copy of these attacks, since, you know, they are supposed to be stickers. So, if the recipient ever wanted to print them out, they could. Now we're really ramping up. I did 2 full pieces this week. Let's talk about the first one. Now, this one is actually for a revenge that happened last week. You might be thinking, wait, didn't you already revenge them back with the stickers? Nope. Only one of them was for the revenge. The other one I just found the silly creature to get a quick attack done. So why did I wait until now to get the revenge? Well, in the description of this attack, they said this: I really like your YouTube videos. Please accept this drawing. Not only was my first attack this year something really nice, but it was from a fan of my content? I only have 2 videos up! This touched my heart, and if the person who made this is watching, thank you. Seriously. So, because this was an actual fan, I knew I had to lock in. I had this really nice idea about what to do with their character Takeru. They had a secret online identity in Soba, so I decided to do the two of them back to back, but with Soba in a lot of shadow to enunciate the secret identity. This one was really fun because before ArtFight started, I actually upgraded my drawing software, Clip Studio Paint, to their most recent version. This allowed me to access their 3D model feature. I decided to start experimenting with that for this attack, since I wanted to get the angle and perspective right. I also wanted to do a bit of graphic design, which is the best way I can put that. For example, adding some text and some small patterns around the piece. For a start, I don't think this was too bad. That's all I have to say, so here's the first attack for this week. I really like this one. And I think they did too, since I got a keyboard smash when I posted it, then they took 2 days to compose themselves, and then type out their response. Which is not to bash on the recipient of this at all. It was just really funny to me. On to the next piece. This is another character that my girlfriend sent to me, and I seriously couldn't help myself when I saw it. It literally ticked all the right checkboxes. Space elements, time elements, a little bit of steampunk in there. It was the perfect mix of those. Plus, she has probably the coolest jacket ever. I usually don't do friendly fire out of the blue, but I just had to for this one. So, this character, Vera, likes to read, and prefers that over anything else. So of course, I had to have her reading for my attack. But that's a little bland, so I came up with an idea. You know how it's not good to read when it's dark? Well, some people like to use a lamp, or something similar to be able to read when it's dark. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if she had a star as her reading lamp? And that's where this idea came from. This piece also made me even more aware of how much I need to do background studies. I wasn't too much of a fan. I feel like there was not too much going on and it doesn't really feel like a background. I've also been struggling with trees for as long as I can remember, so that doesn't entirely help. With all that out of the way, here's the final piece. I'll be honest, it did not come out as good as I wanted it to. Along with the background stuff I talked about just a few seconds ago, something about the way I drew her seemed off. But to put a positive spin on all this, I really liked how I did the star, as I added some small color to the edges of the light to make it pop a little more. It's something I see a lot of artists do, and I wanted to try it myself. This was probably the slowest week of ArtFight this year. I got 2 attacks, both of which were amazing. I especially love this one. The colors and the scenery are just top tier. But while I got 2 attacks, I only did 1. It was another sticker. For a revenge I forgot to mention last week. This is honestly a really silly revenge, mostly because doing this made me realize I've never drawn a frog, and I don't know how to. But I love the way they look anyway. As a bonus, this attack from last week was done by a viewer from one of my streams. It was really nice of them to do that. Now, I know I didn't really do much this week, but that's okay, because I was just saving my energy for the final week. It's time to cook. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, I did kinda go crazy on this last week. Firstly, I absolutely slaughtered my girlfriend with 2 attacks, even after I did that 1 attack all the way back in the first week. They're supposed to go together, but I didn't want to put them in 1 attack, so I decided to split them up. I don't have any speed draw footage for these, since I wanted to keep these secret and my girlfriend watches my streams. But I really love these attacks, and I thought I cooked pretty hard with them. Then I worked on a revenge for this attack last week. I unfortunately won't be able to make a revenge for this attack, but I hopefully will remember to get them at the beginning of next fight. So, since this person made me such a fantastic attack, I wanted to put a lot of effort into making their revenge. They had a decent amount of OCs, but I narrowed it down to Z, because I found their design really cool, and I'm a sucker for an orange color palette. There's not too much to say about my thought process in making this attack. I wanted to showcase the dichotomy between these 2 forms, because the normal human form looked pretty polite, quiet, and shy, which, as you can probably tell, looks quite different from her monster form. So having her monster form loom over her represents that she's always there even if she doesn't seem like it. I also made Monster Z a little bit transparent to push that idea further. But yeah, that's all my attacks on this, and this was the finished product. Honestly, my favorite attack this year. I loved the way this turned out. But now, onto my last attack of the year. This is something I wanted to do for a little bit, and I finally had the opportunity to do so. But I'm gonna be going into some childish interests I have. So, there's this indie animation show on YouTube called Battle for Dream Island. And it's kind of a crazy popular show, so I don't doubt some of you have heard of it. It basically boils down to a reality TV show about a competition where contestants complete challenges and then get voted out one by one until the last one gets the grand prize. Also, everyone is an object. I've been following this show since a decade ago, and I recently had the pleasure of rewatching all of Battle for Dream Island with my girlfriend because I got her into it, which made my interest in object shows skyrocket. At the same time, I knew at some point I wanted to do a mass attack for the very first time. What a perfect coincidence! It was pretty easy to draw object OCs because of their simplistic designs. So, I went to work making my first ever mass attack with object show OCs. I went to find 20 OCs because that's how many characters the original series started with. I also tried really hard to match the style of the show, which is mainly shown in the background of the piece. I'll show a comparison when I show the finished piece. Now, I want you to know, I started this 2 days before ArtFight ended, which on the first day I didn't even do a whole lot because of other life things. So, I mostly had to speedrun this on the last day. I started streaming and I told myself I would not stop until this mass attack was done. Now the problem was I had to work that day and I started the stream around 9 PM. I also had work the next day. So yeah, not the smartest thing to do, but I really wanted to do it. Something I realized while I was in the middle of doing this attack was that mass attacks like these really do take some planning. Like, I went to start putting characters down, and I was like, oh, I don't know what they should be doing. Plus, throughout my entire ArtFight career, I haven't done a whole lot of character interaction, and this piece would require a lot of it. So, in the middle of making this, I had to rapidly think of things for the characters to do, so that this didn't look so static. I eventually did come up with enough ideas, and it was able to fit everyone in perfectly. That's all I want to say about the piece itself, but I also wanted to talk about an issue I came across when it came to uploading this. I didn't really know how to classify everyone here. When you upload an attack, there's multiple options you can select to describe a character's size. There's bust shots, half bodies, and full bodies. There's also one more unique option in simple shaped characters, which, as the name describes, is for OCs that are usually just a few shapes or blobs or something across those lines. Something you could probably draw in a minute or two. You would think that these characters that I'm drawing would fall into that category, but I got mixed answers. When I looked at attacks other people did for object OCs, it was mixed between full body and simple shaped. It seems like there's not really an unspoken rule about what to do with these guys. However, it felt kinda wrong to make everybody a full body though, so here's what I did. OCs that were actually pretty simplistic to get done, like Noodle, Swirly, and Jigsaw, I classified with simple shaped. However, characters that had a little bit more to them got full body, like Icing, Sandcastle, and Scroll. Even after that rule I put in place though, I still got over 1,000 points, which I still feel a little bad about. I don't think anyone really cares though, or thinks I'm cheating by doing this. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Here is the finished piece. I really love how this turned out, and I had a lot of fun doing this. Also, here's the background comparison with the actual show. I think it's a pretty good replica. And that's the end. Here's my stats for this year for you to see. I had a positive battle ratio, which is always good to see. I did 11 attacks this year, which is my highest ever, and got a total of 1,707.5 points. Even without the mass attack greatly inflating that number, I was still happy with the amount of points I would have gotten, which was about 650. I also got 7 attacks against me, which isn't my highest, but it's still a good amount and I enjoyed every single one of them. That is all for my ArtFight journey this year. Anything you guys are proud of this year? Any funny stories? Share them in the comments below. That'll be all from me, and I will see everyone in the next video. Goodbye!